Hi, everybody, and welcome to another WeatherCast USA Quickcast, our first Quickcast of 2026. On this edition, we're going to break down the current weather situation in the U.S., including a look at the flooding potential in the southeast, as well as the severe threat in the southeastern Gulf Coast, a look at the general weather pattern, some winter weather in the south central plains, spreading into the Great Lakes. So let's get into it. Here's a look at the current weather map and the weather picture. We have a cold front that trails basically somewhere like this. It's more of a stationary boundary across the south central part of the U.S., so it's not moving and progressing as much. Along that, there's a low pressure, basically around the Red River Valley. On the north side of that low, we have moisture wrapping against the higher terrain of the high plains and the Front Range. That's creating some extra lift for some moderate to heavy snowfall at times from southeast Colorado, northeast New Mexico, now stretching out across the Texas, Oklahoma panhandles. And as the day has continued, working north and east into parts of southwest and now kind of south central Kansas, getting into some of that snow. Even at times, there's been a couple of thunderbolts, so some pretty heavy snow at times there. Several inches possible. I think most of the winners of the snowfall probably happened earlier today. Areas like Raton Pass got maybe up to about a foot of snow. Only a couple more inches are really possible in some of those areas southwest. So this will keep kind of shifting away from where the current winter weather warnings are. Some of this energy won't bring a lot of snow to parts of the Midwest, but once it gets up into the Great Lakes, we do have more winter weather advisories. You can see across the northern lower peninsula of Michigan as it kind of pairs up with a little bit of a reinforcing cold front coming through the northern parts of the U.S. And as these systems kind of phase together, there will be a little bit more snow, some heavy snow at times across the Great Lakes over the weekend. And that'll continue basically lifting up and away. The Northeast is going to stay pretty much on the rain side with the exception of eventually the northern parts of Maine. Well, really all of Maine and then the northern parts of New England. That's where there's going to be more mixed precipitation changing eventually over to snow. And some of that snowfall by the end of the weekend could be pretty good accumulations there across the northern higher terrain of New England as well as into Maine. But much of the Northeast, really from the New York State Thruway, Boston, certainly the bigger cities, really all the way south, it's all going to be rain. So a warmer system compared to an area that in the Northeast that's been pretty chilly as of late to end the year of 2025 and then beginning this year. Most of this is just light shower activity across the Northeast and New England today. There are a few thunderstorms actually working into western parts of New York. Those are severe, warned as of this afternoon. We've been filming this in the 2 to 3 o'clock hour in the central time zone. So I guess add an hour here, 3 to 4 in the eastern time zone. And yeah, those storms, just gusty winds, mostly 60-mile-an-hour wind gust. Not really a tornado threat or hail threat up there. And very isolated severe weather. Really even storms are pretty isolated across the Northeast today. Just a little extra lift right with the first wave that brought some severe weather yesterday and kind of tracked like this, a little closer to that low. It's kind of a cold core setup. With a little bit of instability as that low tracks up into eastern Canada. The secondary low that's ejecting off the Rockies and into the southern plains I mentioned earlier, kind of centered in around the Red River Valley right now. That is kind of extended along the same cold front. It's deepened as it developed off the Rockies, has kind of its own cold front now attached to it. This, again, along the south is more of a stationary boundary at the moment, kind of a quasi warm front at times. It's kind of a mess right now, but that is drawing up a bunch of Gulf moisture into a compacted warm sector. We talked about this in the written form on our morning weather brief. There were indications the last couple days by the models and the Storm Prediction Center with day 3 and 4 risks of some of the severe weather working up in the Ohio Valley. That has changed since this low has taken a little deeper of a track into the southern plains, really compacting that warm sector essentially along the Gulf Coast and parts of the south. And actually, let me just throw that on real quick. We can just take a look at it. There's your area of slight risk. Again, yeah, covering parts of eastern Texas to just south of kind of the Birmingham area, and then really all of Louisiana and along and south of I-20 especially, is looks like where that severe threat's going to be across the Mississippi and Alabama areas. But that also does include New Orleans, Mobile, and the Mississippi Gulf Coast as well, just north of the Houston metro and also just north of Beaumont. And this is, as we talked about also in the morning forecast, in the written form that we put out every morning, a weather brief. So if you're interested in more weather and meteorology, we post those usually mid-morning, and definitely give a like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get notifications for those. But we talked about how the warm sector is compacted, and there's going to be rounds of severe and storms. The warm sector is going to destabilize further this afternoon, lead to more storm development, especially in eastern Texas and western Louisiana. So it's going to be a prolonged severe threat with rounds of heavy storms, damaging winds, pretty much the main threat. Hail is a threat also, especially in eastern Texas and western parts of Louisiana. And then there is a low end of 5% tornado risk issued by the Storm Prediction Center, covering really this whole slight risk area. So we could see there's more of a conditional environment for tornadoes, especially going into the evening and overnight periods. The low-level jet looks like it may kick in a little more, and that could lead to a little extra spin, especially across, say, this area here, southeast Louisiana, eastern Louisiana, and then into southern Mississippi and Alabama. But it's not looking like it's going to be a tornado outbreak today, or even really a severe weather outbreak. It's just going to be kind of these rounds of clusters of storms, multi-cell clusters, some embedded supercells, with kind of an isolated severe storms within scattered coverage. And you can see basically stretching from northern Georgia, extreme western parts of North Carolina, and then the southern parts of Tennessee, all the way down through a lot of Alabama, Mississippi, and into southeast Louisiana. There are a bunch of flood watches because there's going to be at least 2 to 3 inches of rain, pretty common across this swath of the United States, not just in the next couple hours, but with that kind of stalled boundary, these storms are just going to keep riding kind of along and south of that. More rounds of heavy rain and thunderstorms for the next at least about 12 to even 15 hours, especially getting into tomorrow. This may not move that much, and this is going to be a little further south and east into parts of southern Alabama and southern and central Georgia. So this area is going to see quite a bit of rain the next day or so, and a little less up into the northeast, but there is going to be a pretty good slug of moisture that by Saturday gets up into the northeast as well. So we do have to watch for some isolated areas of flash flooding across the mid-Atlantic and the northeast this weekend. As of recording this around 3:30 Central Time, a line of severe thunderstorms in that cold core setup pushing across western parts of New York State. Yeah, it's a very skinny line, but 60-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah, again, not really any hail threat. It's mostly just a wind threat across this area with a pretty good amount of wind energy translating down to the ground with these line of gusty showers and storms across western parts of New York. We may have a live stream later tonight or tomorrow morning. Kind of in a lull right now. We had some morning tornado warnings across parts of Mississippi and southeast Louisiana. Right now, everything is behaving themselves except for some heavy rain, but no severe warnings across our severe potential area into the southeast. And yeah, things get pretty crazy later tonight when the low-level jet kicks in. We'll come back on for a proper live stream. But right now, have multiple ways to get weather warnings. NOAA Weather Radio is a great option. And make sure your alerts are turned on your phone. This is also not going to be a one-and-done situation. As one round kind of moves through, the next round will eventually move through that same area. So if you live like somewhere here in southwest parts of Mississippi, you already had storms this morning move through. Looks like another batch is going to come through here in the next couple minutes to an hour. And then, watching more storms to develop south and west, and that'll also move through. Definitely not a one and done like we saw in Oklahoma yesterday, where, that line moved through and there were clear skies afterwards. This one, you're going to have a prolonged threat for ongoing severe weather across the southeast. Like and subscribe if you got something out of it and you're new here, and we'll see you on the next QuickCast.